Hello, I'm Wes Turnbull, and welcome to Freemasons The Inside Story. In this episode, we visit a function organised by the Garibaldi Lodge.
Hi, with us today is Sue Benedict, wife of current Grandmaster Hillel Benedykt, and Lydia Bustin, partner of current Grand Director of Ceremonies Harry Pitaro. Hi ladies, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, Erin.
Lydia, perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about your connection with Freemasonry.
Well, my partner Harry Pitaro is the current Grand Director of Ceremonies, and complementary to his role is my role, and that is to support Sue in her Masonic responsibilities, as well as create a united, inclusive, happy team membership amongst the women.
So as a wife and partner of a Grandmaster and Grand Director of Ceremonies, what does that mean for you? What role do you play within the organization?
So basically, I guess, being the wife of the Grandmaster, I have quite a public profile. I support Hillel a lot, as I have throughout his Masonic career, and I attend a lot of functions with Hillel. So I guess, we're out there together, whether it be fundraising functions or ladies' nights or open installations, things like that. I'm there with Hillel. Also, Erin, I don't know if people are aware, but I was very, very involved in the lead up to the grand installation functions. We had the grand installation this year in March, and there's a lot of organisation and a lot of preparing that goes into that, as you know. And I was very involved with Hillel. The other role that I play from the beginning of, and I guess Lydia's involved in this as well, but I'll let her explain, from when the new team is formed at the beginning, back in August, when they first start choosing a new Grand Lodge team, Lydia and I are both involved in that. The team members do their audition, but then the ladies, they're invited in with their wives or partners for their interviews. So we're there. So we're there from the very beginning.
This is all new for me, so I guess part of my role was an initiation, I guess. Sue and Hillel spent a lot of time with myself and Harry, just talking about what was expected in this role and how to go about this role, and then being involved with the audition side of it. Harry and I would welcome, alongside the Deputy Grand Director and his partner, Chris and Jane, we would welcome the new team members as they auditioned, get to know them already from the onset, and just make them feel welcomed and try and eliminate some of the nervous tension that was felt, I guess.
So you mentioned the ladies having questions. What would you say is the most common question or concern that the ladies have when joining a new team?
Some of them are pretty nervous about it. And I do believe, like what Lydia said, when we had our team dinner and Lydia had a chance to talk to the ladies, and so did I got a chance to tell them, because I have been in lots of Grand Lodge teams before. We come sort of from two different places. I've been around the traps for a long time, and I've been in the position where those ladies are when they start off in a Grand Lodge team. And it can be quite daunting. You sort of start off in a role and you think, oh, what have I got myself into? And they really don't know what's expected of them and what's happening. And so at that dinner, that first dinner we had, I spoke to them about my experience in some of the Grand Lodge teams and where I've come from and how I started off like them. And Lydia explained to them a lot about, what was going to happen and different things we had coming up. The funniest thing is, I think a lot of ladies are really worried about what they need to wear and what's expected of them at the different functions. They really sort of worry about that. Possibly also they worry about how many things they need to attend, how many functions they need to go to. Are they expected to attend everything? Because they know their husband or partner has taken on this commitment and this role, and they worry. Maybe they've got family, maybe they've got work commitments. So some of them, you know, were possibly a bit worried about that.
You mentioned the expectations of the ladies. Maybe you could tell us a little bit of what is expected of them.
You mean, well, the functions like these open installations or things like that? Well, we would go along and attend the open installation, so we get to watch the ceremonial. There's a part beforehand where we don't go in to see. That's when the new master is installed, so we don't get to see that. And also, you know, new brethren don't get to, for example, if they're an entered apprentice or if they've only done their first degree or second degree, that they can't go in unless they've been a master before. So we don't see that part of it. So there's time that we're in the south or, you know, in a room somewhere, and we get to mix with the other ladies of the lodge. So whether it be in the country, we've done quite a few country trips and we get to meet a lot of ladies out in the country, and we just mix and talk to them. I guess we get to know each other as well. We just spend time like that together. So it's just being part of the team and coming along and supporting your partner or your husband.
I understand that Freemasons Victoria is a great supporter of the Think Pink Living Centre. Can you tell us how that started and where you see the relationship going?
Back in 2008, Pat Sebo and the ladies in her team, a group of ladies, got together and organised the first or the inaugural pink breakfast run by Freemasons, wives or partners. And it was a fantastic event. I was treasurer at the time. Got that lovely role, but it was fine. I took the bookings and I collected the money for the event, and it was amazing the support we got from Freemasons around Victoria. We had, I think at that first event, we had 509 people join us for a function here in Dallas Brooks, and it was so successful. The following year we did it again and we had about 495. The numbers just roll off the top of my head because I counted them again and again. Anyway, it was great. So we started raising money, and at that time it was for the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and we raised some money then, and it continued. Then it was in Vaughan Werner's year, and they continued it. And when it came to Bob and Kerry Jones, they decided to make a party atmosphere, and so we turned it into a bit of a cocktail party. And it's been fantastic. I have to say the support from Freemasons all over Victoria with this function has been amazing. And what's happened now, it's changed a little bit in the last couple of years. Lodges are having their own functions, whether they do a pink breakfast, whether they do a trivia night, and they're raising money, and they come together and they collate that money and bring it in on the night of the cocktail party. The other thing that's a little bit different is we don't just donate to the Think Pink Living Centre. I mean, we've got a great relationship with them and we love supporting it. It's a very worthwhile cause. We also, in the last couple of years, have given money to the oncology unit at the Epworth Hospital, and that's also a fantastic cause. So I really see it continuing because I think it's a great event, and I think all of us in some way know somebody or know someone that's been touched by either breast cancer or cancer in some way.
This year we're going to, we'll be hosting the Think Pink function on the 18th of October, so save the date. And we will be presenting it as a party to coincide with Freemason Victoria's 125 years. It's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate that, as well as promote the awareness and research for breast cancer. And well, without giving too much away, we're going to have a wonderful time, and we're intending to raise more than last year, and we're really hoping, and we know that the continued success actually lies on lodges across Victoria actually participating with this event.
Wonderful, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and all the best for your Think Pink party.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. We'll see you there.
Absolutely.
Hi, we're here today at the East Melbourne Masonic Centre. With us is Collections Manager Samantha Fabry. Samantha, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So you came on board as the Freemasons Victoria Collection Manager about 7 months ago. Can you tell us a little bit about the role?
Well, the role is very deep. It has very different levels. It's not just looking at discovering what we have in the archives, but also within the museum collection and the library as well. So it has required that I've had to really discover what this building's about, how it's operated, the rooms that it has, and all the little hidey holes that it has also. So we have found quite a lot of things, and they're quite extraordinary. So over here, as I can show you just over here, this large portrait that we have found. We realise it is possibly a Deputy Grand Master. Unfortunately, it has suffered quite dramatically, and the frame has been removed from it, and that was probably trying to get it within the area that it was stored within. But as you can see here, we've got quite a lot of, it's come away from the frame, and because it's expanded and it's quite dry, it's popped off the frame here. So he does require a lot of love and care, which we hope to do that within the next year or so. And over here we've also discovered another little chap who's beautiful, a 19th century little guy who's had actually suffered some repairs previously, and they've actually worked on him. This is an old piece of conservation which is really interesting to look at. He has been slightly cleaned by the conservators that we have on site, and at the back you can see there has been an old repair here.
And so Sam, can you tell us what you were doing before you came on board here at Freemasons?
Yeah. Previously I lived abroad. I was living in Malta, where I run with my husband a heritage conservation business. So we were working, it's still operating, but we're working with other European countries with heritage conservation, whether that be through buildings, collections, also working with churches, cathedrals, community groups and NGOs. Prior to that I was with the Historic Houses Trust of New South Wales, and where I was a curator for 2 historic museums, and I learned from that a wealth of information which has really helped and supported my practice within this organisation.
Wonderful. So maybe you can explain what we're standing around at the moment.
Sure. Over here we have got some certificates and some warrants which every lodge has, and when they close they do then come to us, and we have been preparing those, putting them into polypropylene bags which are specific plastic which doesn't off gas. So these certificates are quite safe within this environment, and then they will be placed within a large acid-free box in which they'll be stored and researched at a later date.
Now, I noticed behind us this wonderful frame with the missing photographs. Can you tell us about that? Are those pictures from that frame, or?
These actual photographs are not from this particular cutout frame, but they would have come from a type like it. And what I've discovered is that over the years, because many of these frames were so large, the people would then take these images out and throw away the frames and just keep the images because it's too bulky to store. And because we were restricted in space, they then have been left in this kind of condition. However, we're fortunate to find out that many of these pictures have the names on the back of the individuals, so we can still research who they are.
So Sam, there seems to be a lot of items in here. Obviously the objects down in the library are just the starting point. I understand that you were brought in at this time because the artifacts are being moved. Can you tell us a little bit about the process in preparing for that?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of my role was to come in and to identify exactly what was held here, and through that examination I was able to identify there are more than one type of collection. So for example, you have the museum and the library, but you also have the archives as well, and the heritage and ephemera collection, and each of those lots or those objects had to be identified and maintained in a different process. So for example, the archives would be treated differently in the way of tracking compared to an object here. So what we've done here within this space is that we get objects coming through into this room, we identify them, we document them, we do a condition report, and we prepare them for their storage. And then we will take them over to the new site. Of course, when you're doing that tracking, not only on written format, but we do it on an Excel spreadsheet, and we take photographs as well, which they kept together. So we have a paper copy of the condition report, we have a digital copy, and that we can then maintain and keep up to date continually.
So you're getting all these items ready for storage. I imagine that there's quite a few people at home that maybe have artifacts or members from different lodges that maybe have some items. What advice or tips would you give them in regards to storing their own collections?
Firstly, do not laminate. You can't do, when it comes to looking after an object, the process has to be reversible, okay? If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to help out and give advice because the material that we're purchasing for this process comes from specific organisations that are just purposely used for purchasing conservation material. So it's not just your plastic bag that we're using specific material that won't harm the object, and that's the reason why we're going through this step. But I'm more than happy to speak to anyone if they've got any questions, because the way that we maintain these collections are very similar to the way we maintain our personal private collections at home.
So Sam, we're here now in the boardroom at the Masonic Centre, which now houses the museum collection that Jim Spreadborough showed us through in a recent episode. Can you tell us a little bit about this painting, as I understand that this was recently pulled out from the archives?
Yes, this portrait was actually discovered with two other portraits under the Lord Somers room, and it had obviously been there for quite an extensive amount of time because it was very, very dusty, and it was quite a task actually trying to get it out of the doorway that it had been placed within in that room. However, what we did was the first thing was document every process thus far. It does require quite an extensive amount of conservation, which it will be undertaken within the next few years. But the first thing was to do, we got a conservator onto it to actually gently vacuum the dust away from the frame and gently off the surface, because it had been down there for at least 20 years.
Now, this particular picture frame, for anybody who has seen some of the other portraits within the building, is quite different. Can you maybe shed some light on that, or where it came from?
I feel that it came from 25 Collins, which was the building before this site here. When you review some of the photographs, the older photographs, most of the building was done in this darker colour of wood, which had been stained in this manner. So it was quite heavy, and quite heavy for the period of that time. So I believe it's come from 25 Collins Street, and I'm sure there's quite a lot of other furniture out there that would be in a similar kind of colouring and style that comes from 25 Collins.
Wonderful, Sam. Thank you so much for taking us around today. It's been very interesting having a look behind the scenes.
Thank you very much.
Hi, we're here today at the Garibaldi Lodge Beyond Blue fundraising function. With us is Matthew Donato, Master of Garibaldi Lodge. Matthew, thanks for joining us today.
A pleasure, lovely to be here.
So, Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about Garibaldi and what makes it a special lodge?
Yeah, the Garibaldi Lodge was founded by a group of Italians that were sort of looking for a common theme or flavour to its members. It originated with members of Italian origin, but it's sort of broken down over the years to members that are interested in the Italian culture. So we add a bit of Italian flavour to everything we do. We add a bit of Italian flavour to all our social events, and I suppose what makes us really unique is that our ladies play a very, very big role in everything we do, in particular with our social events. They get very involved, they organise them for us, and they put everything together. So it sort of allows us to do our Masonic bits and pieces while they attend to all the social needs of the group.
And so do we have the ladies to thank tonight for this function?
You certainly can. My wife and especially my sister has put it together. My senior warden, his wife as well. And there's a couple of members from other lodges which has helped us tonight to put the event together.
And so can you share with us a little bit about the lodge's history and how it came to be predominantly Italian?
Well, basically, I've heard several versions, so it depends on who you talk to. Each of them will give you a unique version. But the basic concept or the basic gist of it is in about 1983 or 84, just a few people got together and started talking and realised that there might be a few Italians in Freemasonry Victoria. So they went looking for these particular members, and they went looking to see if there was an interest in actually forming a lodge that had that Italian flavour. And I think it took a few years, and then eventually they mustered up the numbers in about 1986. They finally were consecrated and the lodge was formed.
So I understand that the Garibaldi Lodge is not the only Italian lodge in Australia, and that you hold a relationship with other Italian lodges. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly, there's actually another 3 lodges in Australia. There's the Lodge Galileo in Sydney, the Leonardo da Vinci in Adelaide, and the Lodge Italia in Perth. Over the years, I think it's since 1996, we initially formed a relationship with Adelaide, and then with Sydney, or it might have been Sydney and then Adelaide, and then finally with Perth, which was consecrated in about 2002. What we actually do is each year at the time of installation, we visit each other's lodges, and we get together and just celebrate the fact of the new master coming in. And it's been getting stronger and stronger. It started with only half a dozen members visiting interstate. Now we have virtually anywhere between 30 and 40 interstate members at each of the individual lodge meetings. So it's become quite a unique group, and we stay in contact with each other. We've formed the Australian-Italian Masonic Alliance, and we even have a Facebook page, so we've made the 21st century as well, and we communicate through that. We share information, we donate to charities, we help each other sort of work through issues and items that come up from day to day.
And so can you tell us a little bit about this evening and what we can anticipate?
Well, most of it was a secret until we started telling everyone about it. We're just looking at emulating Las Vegas, coming in, having a bit of fun, a bit of a flamboyant show. We've got Chris Moran, we've got an old, again, Italian entertainer who's very much into the cabaret style, that is going to do a floor show with us with a couple of girls, and sort of launch into that Las Vegas theme. We have a few tables of opportunity in the back corner there for people that might want to try their luck this evening, and we'll also have the dance floor all open all night for others that may wish to participate in a bit of song and dance. So basically, we're just looking at having a lot of fun, enjoying the night and spending it with friends, and obviously making some money for Beyond Blue at the same time.
And so why did you choose Beyond Blue to partner and support with this function tonight?
I think, again, it was a conversation that happened over 12 months ago between me and my sister, and I think we just thought it's sort of one of those charities where, I don't know whether you would call it a soft issue, but if you think of it's not visible, you can't see it, so it remains hidden. And we felt that maybe if we just started with Beyond Blue and just tried to make an awareness of that mental illness and put it out there and see how we go.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having us tonight, and we wish you all the best with the function.
Thank you very much. It was fantastic having you here. You're welcome to stay and enjoy the festivities if you like. We'll even find a spot for you if you want to have a bit of a look around and a bit of a dance, or if you want to eat something, we're more than welcome to stay.
Thanks for joining us. To find out more about Freemasonry, visit the Freemasons Victoria website at www.freemasonsvic.net.au or phone us on 1800 Freemason. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn and Google+. Next week on Freemasons The Inside Story, we bring together a group of young Freemasons for a Q&A session. See you then.